Welcome to Jurassic Park. Hi everyone, welcome to this video in which I will start to recreate the original Jurassic Park based on the movie, what we see in the movie at least, some maps I found online which don't all agree with each other, and, my own creative liberty to make everything fit together and to have it actually make sense. Because basically I had two choices last night. I could either do this because people have been asking for it, or I could tackle challenge mode and try to finish my 1993 Nublar challenge mode in Jurassic difficulty, which I've been struggling with, as you probably already know. And I decided to go the easy route. I decided to go for this. So, as you might notice, I'm doing this voiceover after the fact. I've pre-recorded the entire build. I was in the zone doing my thing. But I want to talk you through the process as I'm showing you, because, if you want to recreate Jurassic Park yourself and you could use some tips, this video will hopefully be of help to you. I'm just going to show you how I tackled it, and I'll try to explain the thoughts behind it, so hopefully that'll help you with your own park builds. If I have nothing to say and there's also nothing happening on screen, I will make some cuts to the video just so people won't go extinct with boredom. But generally speaking, I want to show you the entire build real time, so you really get a sense of what the workflow is for me. And, not gonna lie, this first episode will probably be the most boring. Actually, it'll definitely be the most boring. But it is also the most important. So, I'm sorry, but you might have to focus on this one. It's just that once you have a good base, the rest will follow more easily, but if you screw up the base, then at the end of the day, it's not going to make sense and you're going to run into issues. So what I'm doing in this first episode, as you can see, is I'm trying to get that fencing pattern that we see very briefly in the movie, when it's all flashing and getting deactivated and people are starting to freak out. I'm recreating that at first, just so I have the basic layout of the park, and then I can start filling it in. So that's what we're doing in this episode. And you can see me thinking right now. I'm trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how big I can go with it, how the angles need to be. So that's going to be most of this video, trying to get that fencing right. And then at the end, we're also going to place the visitor center. I do want to post these videos in quite quick succession. The entire park build will encompass a couple of episodes, as you might imagine. It took me 3.5 hours approximately to create the entire park. So I've cut them up into several longer episodes, and I want to publish them all before Christmas. So I'm going to upload probably 2 every day. But if you want to make sure that you don't miss an episode, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you'll get notified when I do upload. So, starting point, we've already kind of moved past that. You can see my orientation of the map. I have a little compass on the left. It's probably barely visible if you're on a mobile device, but I have a little cross on the left side with one of the points marked N for north, because that was the first step. I first just wanted to determine what was going to be my north, west, south, east. And that was based on how I could get the most out of the space and shape of the map. If you notice, Nublar 1993 is pretty round in shape, but one side is more straight, albeit a little squiggly, and the other side, which is in this park build, my east side, is a little curved outwards, and that made sense for the map reference that I had for the fences that I'm recreating. So that's why I chose to orient the map like this. Unfortunately, that does mean that the placement of the east dock, where Nedry tries to go, that is actually landlocked, because with the orientation of the map right now, there is just a bit of ocean visible on the north of the map. Um, yeah, if you go into the corner at the very top and you angle the camera, you can see the ocean at that point. So, you know, in an ideal world, I would have turned the map pretty much 180 degrees around so I could have my dock over there. That would have made more sense. But I figured, you know, I can't let what's outside of the buildable area be the deciding point of the build. So I stuck with the shape of the map instead. And I think that was the best decision because you want to go as big as possible so as not to have everything crammed. In the end, certain exhibits are still smaller than I would have liked them to be, but you know, it is what it is. I had to, you know, we have to use the means that we got, and what we got is this map, which, even though it's bigger than the rest, surprisingly, it's still not as big as we probably all want it to be. The reason, as I said before, you know, it's based on what we see in the movie, so I will be recreating some iconic spots like the place where Nedry runs over the East Dock sign and he gets stuck and he can't figure out where to go next, and of course he has his unfortunate run-in with the Dilophosaurus. I also have recreated the sick Triceratops exhibit. I did the entire tour. You know, there are still limitations in this game, however, in terms of how we can recreate the original Jurassic Park. So that's why I had to take some creative liberties. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. So, you know, I do apologize. Please try to keep that in mind before you say things like, that's not how it was, that's not how look at this map, look at this resource, that's not how it's supposed to be. I did the best I could while making it a functional park. You know, I wanted all of the buildings to be actually connected, with the exception of one. Yeah, so that's the the thought process behind it. You can see I keep going back to map view. What is unfortunate about the size of Nublar, it is so big that when you go to map view and you zoom out as much as you can, you still can't see the full map. You can't see the entire edge, as you can see right now. You have to move up and down, up and down, up and down, back and forth. And that does make it difficult to try to figure out how big you can go. And that's why I have been struggling with getting this first sort of sickle-shaped exhibit right. But, you know, once I got this part right, you know, sort of proportionate, sort of at the right angles, then the rest was a lot easier. So, you know, this is probably a poor, it's not an exciting way to start this park build, but like I said, it's just really important to get this one right. I started with this exhibit because it is central, it has the most challenging shape, and pretty much everything connects to it. So it was the necessary point to start with. And you can see I'm thinking right now. I'm really thinking really hard on how big I can go because I wanted to have it as big as possible. One of the compromises I had to make, because I decided to really go as big as possible with the exhibits, was that in the map that I referenced, I have it, while I was building, I have the map open on my laptop, which is actually to the side of my main computer monitor. And on that map, you could see that the visitor center and the lodges and even the raptor pen were located to the west of the main exhibit cluster, if you will. And because I went as large as I did, I didn't have enough space left on the left side, the west side in this case, to fit the visitor center there. So the visitor center is actually more to the north of everything. But I worked, I think I worked around it pretty well. And, you know, it didn't disrupt the tour in a significant way, I think. What I had the most difficulty with later on is trying to figure out how the tour would actually work. Because in the movie, they actually go back and forth. You can see them approach the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock from two different directions, and obviously you can't do that. So, you know, some decisions were made that you may disagree with, but I did my best. I did my best. Let me know in the comments if you've already recreated your own Jurassic Park and how that worked out for you. And if you do have any tips for me, please let me know, because even though the park is fully built at this point, I can still go back in and change a couple of things based on your suggestions. So, you know, if you have any suggestions for me or for the people watching this video right now who are still trying to first tackle this build, that'd be really helpful. So please, any tips you have, you can share those in the comments, and I'm sure everyone will really appreciate that. Sorry, it's so funny rewatching this and seeing me fiddle with all of this. It's so frustrating. The point is, you might know that I have the patience of a saint, so I could do this all day. I'm so in the zone when I'm doing stuff like this that I really don't notice how incredibly long it's taking me. How long have I been recording? Like 10 minutes at this point. And it's just the first exhibit. But I promise you guys that once this first exhibit is done, then things really start rolling. I'm just checking. I'm already halfway through the first recording. Also, I didn't quite know what this particular exhibit was for. How can I explain that? Because I had a map reference where this sickle-shaped exhibit had the icon of the Velociraptor in it, but you know, the Velociraptor were in the pen that we saw in the movie. Maybe they were supposed to be relocated to this exhibit after the events that took place in the original movie. I'm not sure. I haven't read up on all of the surrounding material, let's put it that way. I've only seen the movies, I've only read the novel. So I think I ended up placing the Metricanthosaurus in here. Also, I should say that not all of the fences that we're using right now are exhibit fences. I use these as perimeter fences. So there are also going to be smaller exhibits within these bigger ones. Are you bored yet? Are you bored yet? Oh god. It is kind of awkward trying to... Oh, this is where I figured out that that line on the right at this point, the top right, points directly towards the little angle in the tip, just the tip. So that was really helpful. It took me a while to figure that out, but stuff like that really gets things going. So I hope I'm almost done with this exhibit. This probably could have been sped up, but you know, I just wanted you to see the entire process and kind of be honest, I guess, about how long it takes. You know, it doesn't take forever, obviously, but I don't want you to underestimate how long it does take to get this right, and that might frustrate you. I think that if I show it as a speed build only, which I do get that this could have been sped up to speed build, but you know what, you can just fast forward the video yourself if you wanted. It might make you misinterpret how long it actually takes. And that might make you frustrated once you try it yourself, because, you know, it's difficult to... When you see a speed build, it's difficult to judge how long it actually took. And then if you spend 15 minutes trying to create even just the first exhibit, you might get really frustrated and think to yourself, oh, it felt like she did it in a GIF and it's taking me forever, and it took me forever as well. You know, I just want to be honest about that. It takes a long time, but the end result I think you're going to be really happy with. So I finally finished the sickle shape exhibit. It's not perfect, but that's another thing. You have to accept your imperfections and just, you know, when it's good enough, run with it. And you'll see that everything fits together in the end. So what I'm actually doing right now is I'm going to do the outline for the Brachiosaurus, Parasaurolophus, and Pachycephalosaurus exhibit that the crew first goes through. So that's where they take the jeeps and they have that first encounter with the Brachiosaurus. And this exhibit, it's really a shame that it's a lot smaller than I wanted it to be. It's a very, very large exhibit in the movie. And, you know, you really get that sense of open space with that shot of the lake with the Brachys, the Parasaurolophus, and the Pachycephalosaurus. You don't really get that with this exhibit. It is significantly smaller than I would have wanted it to be, but there's just no space. I get that alternatively what I could have done was not use this fence outline, but I just really wanted to use that iconic layout that we see flashing with the alerts in the movie. So, you know, you have to compromise. You have to compromise. You have to think to yourself, you know what? If I'm gonna go with all of these perimeter fences, yeah, I have to accept that some of the exhibits are going to be a lot smaller than I want it to be. Some dinosaurs are not going to be in exactly the same place as they should have been. But there are still limitations in the game, even though to have the buildings is really, really awesome. I'm thinking again. This is really awkward to rewatch because it feels a lot longer to watch it than when you're actually doing it. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you're bored right now and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to go through that myself, it doesn't feel as long when you're actually working on it. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and place the fence. Oh, God. Yeah? Yeah? You can do it, girl. You can do it. Oh, the tension. Yeah? Yeah? I don't know. I wanna cut the video, but I don't know if I should. If people are gonna be like, well, you didn't show part of it, so now I'm confused. So let me know in the comments, because, you know, I still have to edit and record the other videos of the series. So let me know in the comments how I can improve on this series. Like, do you really want to see every step like this? Or do you think to yourself, okay, I get it now. It's just a lot of eyeballing, trying to figure out the right placement, the right angles. I get it. You can skip through this kind of stuff, because then I can take that into account for the future videos. When you see me tilting the camera angle like this, you can see me lining up the fence at the center so I can get the angle of the two fences right. So that's just a little tidbit. You know, if you want to figure out the angles, you just want to align the camera with one of the fences. This is going to be the bottom of the Parasaurolophus/Pachycephalosaurus exhibit. You can see now that it is going to be quite small, unfortunately, but I had no other choice, like I said. I also have to leave a little bit of space because there is going to be path running down that side as well, because the helicopter pad is going to be at the bottom and the visitor center is going to be at the top. Actually, pretty much right by that big blob of rock you can see in the top left corner. So I finished the interior lines of the exhibit at this point, finally. And now I'm just doing the outline of the perimeter fence, for which I turn on the curved setting. And this was a lot easier to do because you just have to connect the points basically. It's also not as stringent. I'm not being as strict with the shape of it. Just to keep it overall similar to how it's supposed to be, of course. You know, I am trying to be true to the original shape. And I don't know about you, but I find placing stuff like fences and paths, I just find it so meditative. Maybe it's the sound. Like that. I don't know, maybe that's my OCD or something, but it just feels so nice when you feel that that it completes. I don't know. I just like it. Big straight fence, curving again. So yeah, right on top of there is going to be our visitor center and the start of the tour. Just to the left of here is where we're going to sneak in the lodges and some of the shops. I couldn't get the park rating to higher than, what was it? 3.5 stars, maybe a little bit over. That's a shame. And it was mostly dinosaur rating. I think facility rating was pretty good, but the dinosaur rating wasn't that high because we don't have that many species, of course. Here you have a better look of my at my very professional compass over there. It's just really handy that once you figure out the orientation of your map, to just make a little bit of a compass like that so you don't forget exactly how you were supposed to angle the camera. Forgot to deforest a little bit, so the map was a bit bigger than I knew, but you know, like I said, I need that space because there's a path going through, and the tour actually goes by there as well, because the tour circumvents the Brachiosaurus exhibit and doesn't enter the dinosaur part of the park until they get to the point where the Dilophosaurus are, because that's the first dinosaur that they see on the tour, at least. So that's what I based that positioning on. So now I'm doing the bottom perimeter exhibit. Like I said, I'm going to put smaller exhibits into this perimeter fencing. I would have loved to use this space for the Brachiosaurus because it is the biggest space of the bunch. But I wanted to stay as true to what we see in movies and what we see on the maps. And this is also pretty close. That points to where the east dock would be. So that's right before Nedry meets his untimely end. Not undeserved, but, you know. We're in the home stretch now, people. We're almost done with the boring bit, and then the more fun activities can start of actually placing the buildings and decorating the park. Also, what you might think is weird is that I did start out with a completely flat nublar, whereas in the movie, obviously, the map isn't flat, and you can see me bring those mountains back in at choice points. But I always start out with a flat map, just so you have the best perception of what the space is that you have to work with. And it's easier to have just a clean slate to work with and then add the 3D elements back in at your choice points, rather than trying to go up and down, figure things out. But, you know, don't worry, Jurassic Park isn't going to stay completely flat. I did try to bring in hills and stuff where I felt that it would be movie accurate. There you go. So that is the outline that we see flashing on and off in the movie. You know, it's not perfect, but I am pretty happy with it, and I have enough space left for the buildings I need, you know, the helicopter, ranger, and incubations in the bottom left. And where the cursor is right now, oh, and I moved, where the cursor was, is where we're going to have the visitor center. Just judging my own work, trying to figure out if I am, no. Okay, so I'm going to, I've decided to accept my own shortcomings. You know, that's personal growth right there. And I'm going to lay down the river as my map referenced said there would be. I'm going to make a smaller river. I will, I hope I have edited in the map view that I used for reference, and if I can find the link for it, I hope I can find it. I saved the image quite a while ago, but if I can find the link for it, I will put that in the description box down below, so you can use the exact same reference image that I use. Like I said, not all of the maps agree with each other. They were obviously, you know, they had to take some creative liberties themselves with trying to figure out where everything went. So keep that in mind, that not every map says the same thing. I just went with this one because I felt like it was the clearest one of the bunch. Bit of a lake up here. And I always like to do stuff like water and stuff, you know, geographical points of recognition, I just like to do first. So those make it easier to figure out the rest along the way. Once you know, you can say, oh, this one is close by the end of the river. That just makes it easier. It's not the prettiest river, but, you know. And this is for the Brachiosaurus, you know, the famous lake. I don't know why I just went to trees. There was a moment of confusion there. And I relocated this one to the back, as you can see right now. I'm thinking, yeah, we need as much distance between where the jeeps are going to be and where the lake is going to be, so I placed it at the very edge over there. And I'll try to cover up the fence line with trees as much as possible, so it looks more natural the way it did in the actual movie in that iconic shot. I think it's about time that we place the visitor center. We are nearing the end of the video. Yes, we are. So I'm just having a final think of how I want to orient the visitor center, where I exactly want to place it, and then we're going to get to it. I think I might be looking up something at this point. I'm being really still. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Go ahead and place that building. Oh, first delete a tree. And flatten out that final bit. Yeah, go ahead. Click on it. This is so weird watching myself play this game. I didn't exactly build it with the thought in mind that I would show the entire process. So, yeah. I was just in the zone at this point. And you have to be in the zone to be able to enjoy this this long process. Nope, that's the wrong one. Still getting used to the new buildings and where they are. There you go. the absolutely gorgeous visitor center. I love it. I also never noticed that the big tree that they've placed at the edge of the building, that really is in the design as well. It's in the movie. I never noticed that enormous tree right by the building. That's really interesting. Try to figure out how to place it. You know, I need to make the most of the space available because, you know, there's not a lot of space left, obviously. In a later video, you'll see me struggle a little bit with the placement of the lodges and other guest facilities because, you know, preferably they would have been located a little bit more away from other things, but it got a little bit cramped. You can see the water, by the way, not anymore, but you could see the water at the top of the screen. So, you know, if you do decide to recreate it and you want the east dock placement to be in a more logical place, you'd actually flip it around and you put you start your river here, the river that leads down to the east dock. And I'm also going to build the tour vehicle, and I snuck it right back there because, you know, I don't really want to see the building itself. I wanted to tuck it away. So we are at the very end of the video. I hope this wasn't too boring. It probably was. You know, no dinosaurs, just a lot of fencing. But I wanted this video to just be for the people who are struggling to recreate Jurassic Park for themselves. And I hope that this does help you. And in the end, what I am going to do is I'm going to do a tour and show everything as well. So, you know, that's just for the people who want to enjoy the side of the park. These videos, this series, is for the people who want to recreate the park along with me. So, I hope it was helpful. And please let me know in the comments how I can improve on the future videos. If you want me to make more cuts, do like parts speed build, that's also possible. But I think the next episodes are going to be a lot more interesting. A lot more is happening in the next episodes. Bigger changes per episode, but like I said, I really needed to get this base of the fencing right, and that goes the same for you. If you want to recreate it the way I did, you really have to get those fences right, so take your time with those, and don't get frustrated, just enjoy the obsessive compulsive process of it all. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to see the rest of this park build, as well as all of my other Jurassic World Evolution content. And until next time, enjoy the game.